True friends don't care where you come from or what you look like. They'll join you for a picnic, but not make you the meal.
This was a miracle. This was the lion and the lamb laying down together.
In this dog-eat-dog world, these unlikely friends defy logic.
They seem like the greatest long-lost friends.
Go against nature and revolutionize our notions of love.
To know that these animals are capable of love, like we are, is quite an eye-opener.
In 2008, a lion named Christian became an international sensation, thanks to the internet.
I think it's absolutely wonderful how it has caught the imagination of a whole new generation of people.
Christian's amazing journey began in 1969. Two young Australians, Ace Bourke and John Rendell, were soaking up the sights and sounds of London. Around Christmas, they wandered into Harrods department store and discovered a lion cub for sale in a cage, a practice that would shock most people today. Ace and John bought the lion and named him Christian. The two men kept him at the furniture store where they worked. Christian needed exercise, so they convinced a local vicar to let him romp in the garden of a nearby church.
We had to be one step ahead of him all the time because he grew very quickly. His teeth and claws were very sharp. Very quickly, he was too big for us to handle, but we never let him really realize it.
I mean, they were just the best of friends in the late 60s in London.
Tony Fitzjohn, a wildlife conservationist, was a young man when he met Christian, Ace, and John.
They just loved each other, you know. Christian adored them. I mean, Ace and John basically were surrogate parents to Christian, and they fed him and groomed him and made sure he was safe and didn't get into trouble, and, you know, we just wanted the best for him in life.
After leaving Harrods, he had gone from about 30 to 130 pounds. Ace and John realized the cub was quickly outgrowing the life they could provide.
They'd looked at Longleat and they didn't like it, which was a sort of animal park. They'd looked at other possibilities, and they hadn't really come up with anything that was that made them feel happy.
Then one day, born-free actor Bill Travers wandered into the furniture store. Ace and John showed him Christian.
So they went downstairs, and Christian came out from under a table and flattened Bill on the floor. Bill Travers said, "I know what we'll do with Christian. We'll take him back to George Adamson in Africa, where he belongs."
Bill had an enclosure built for the lion. While Ace and John cherished their remaining time with Christian, Bill reached out to George Adamson in Kenya. Adamson was the British conservationist portrayed in the 1960s feature film Born Free.
After a few months, Bill Travers called him up and said, "Look, there's this really nice-looking lion in England called Christian. We want to get out to you." And Bill said, "Well, think about it." So George then started making moves towards the government, and ultimately he found this place called Cora.
Ace and John's friendship with Christian continued to blossom in the English countryside. Christian would often greet Ace with the now famous four-legged hug. And as Ace and John waited to take Christian to Africa, they worried about his safety and his state of mind. Meanwhile, in Kenya, construction began for a new compound. Christian had to learn how to be a lion. So as a mentor, George Adamson brought in his old lion friend, Boy, who needed time to heal from an injury. And George added one other small companion.
And he went to Cora with Boy and a little tiny little lioness cub called Catania had been given that was an orphan.
Fitzjohn had just signed on to work with George Adamson. Tony had never gotten to know a lion before Christian.
He was lovely, and if I say yes, he was very special, and he was very special because he was my first lion.
As Christian made his way from pricey Harrods to the plains of Africa, there was no turning back. Like many animals brought up in captivity, Christian's reintroduction into the wild proved a rocky road. After he arrived, he was put with young Catania. She missed Boy and found Christian odd and clumsy. But before long, she warmed up to him. However, to Boy, Christian was nothing but an intruder. Christian had never faced aggression. His stress was obvious. For days, Boy kept up his aggressive displays. The team realized the males had to work things out face to face in the open. If Boy was going to kill Christian, this would be the moment. To everyone's relief, Boy did no real damage. Christian was lucky.
Christian knew that he had to submit to Boy. That was the mature male that George already had. But it was a bit of a shock for Christian. He hadn't seen his father for 9 months, which was the last lion he'd seen.
Now it was clear that Christian would be accepted. Although Ace and John didn't want to, they knew it was time to leave. They needed to give Christian the space to become a wild lion. So, with sadness in their hearts and hope for Christian's future, they left, not sure if they'd ever see him again.
We were just so relieved we'd found this perfect solution. It was sad to leave him, but he had the chance to return to the wild, which he did successfully. So we were just very grateful for that.
And Christian did eventually live with a group of lionesses in the wilds beyond the compound. Meanwhile, Ace and John missed Christian. About a year after leaving, they returned to Kenya, wanting to see their old friend again. When they arrived, the men didn't know what to expect. Would Christian remember them? The lion removed all doubt from their minds by greeting his old friends without hesitation.
By the time he hit us, he was going at quite a pace, and he's nearly 300 pounds here. The exuberance of this and the excitement, as you can see here, is completely overexcited. It was a euphoric moment, yes.
I mean, once they've given you that trust and their affection, they don't forget who you are and what your Relationship was, any more than a kid forgets who his mother is, however long you've been away. To know that these animals are capable of emotions like love and understanding and caring like we are is quite an eye-opener. These wild animals that we share this planet with are our spiritual bridges to the past. They're where we came from.